The neighbors said they heard the screaming first, then a single gunshot. Moments later, another. When the police forced entry into the cozy two-story home on Willow Creek Drive, they found the bodies of Michael and Lena Dawes sprawled on the kitchen floor. Him with a bullet in the chest, her with one in the head. A blood-smeared birth certificate lay torn beside them. But the most unsettling thing wasn't the gruesome murder-suicide. It was the DNA test that followed, and the chilling secret that changed everything. Welcome to True Crime Channel, your portal into the most chilling true crime cases, unsolved mysteries, and the darkest corners of criminal history. If you are new here, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell. In today's case, we dig deep into the facts, uncover shocking twists, and explore the theories that keep investigators and the world on edge. Stay back and enjoy. Michael and Lena had been married for 10 years. In their quiet Colorado neighborhood, they were seen as the golden couple. Michael was a respected detective with a spotless record and an ever-composed demeanor. Lena, a warm-hearted community volunteer and a piano teacher, was beloved by everyone who knew her. Their only flaw, or so it seemed, was the absence of a child. Behind closed doors, that absence grew heavier with each passing year. Lena wanted a baby more than anything. She lit candles at church, prayed endlessly, and cried in silence at night. Michael, on the other hand, always told her, "When the time is right, it'll happen." What he never told her was that the time would never come. Michael knew he was infertile. He had been diagnosed with non-obstructive azoospermia in his late 20s, a condition that made it biologically impossible for him to father a child. Rather than confess, he buried the truth under layers of pride and fear, afraid that revealing it would make him less of a man in Lena's eyes. What he didn't anticipate was fate stepping in through someone from Lena's past, Dr. Aaron Blackwell, her childhood friend and their family doctor. Aaron had known Lena since kindergarten. He had also known Michael's condition for years. Bound by medical ethics, Aaron never said a word, until one night after a charity gala, Lena broke down in his office. Her voice trembled as she asked, "Is something wrong with me? Why haven't we had a child?" Aaron hesitated. Then, seeing her anguish, he did the unthinkable. He told her the truth. The revelation shattered Lena. She felt humiliated, lied to, and utterly alone. She tried to confront Michael but couldn't bring herself to admit she knew. Instead, she spiraled into a whirlwind of vulnerability. Aaron, sensing her despair, comforted her. Their old bond turned intimate. Within months, Lena was pregnant. At first, Michael was thrilled, overjoyed even. He believed it was a miracle, proof that maybe his condition had reversed. But the joy didn't last long. One rainy afternoon, Michael drove to Aaron's office, holding the sonogram picture with trembling hands. He asked Aaron, How is this even possible?" Aaron didn't blink. "It happens sometimes. Your body might have healed itself." Michael left with a tight smile but a storm brewing inside him. Something didn't add up. Michael pulled strings at a hospital in another county. 2 weeks after the baby was born, a beautiful little girl named Hope, he received the results of a secret DNA test. The child wasn't his. The betrayal cut deeper than any bullet wound he'd ever seen in his line of duty. 4 days, Michael sat alone, staring at the results. His world had been built on loyalty, duty, and trust. Now everything was a lie. That night, he confronted Lena. The kitchen lights flickered as Lena clutched their newborn, Michael's eyes sunken with fury. "Whose baby is it, Lena?" he asked, voice flat and cold. She didn't answer. Instead, she placed the baby in her crib nearby and walked up to him. "Before you ask me that, why didn't you ever tell me you were infertile?" she snapped. 10 years, Michael. 10 years of lying to me." His hand twitched near his hip. where his off-duty weapon was holstered. "You had no right," he hissed. "And you did?" she fired back. "I only did what you should have done a decade ago, be honest." The screaming escalated. Accusations flew. Years of suppressed anger, shame, and betrayal combusted. Then came the first shot. Neighbors later said they heard it echo like thunder. The second followed just 12 seconds later. At first glance, it looked like a textbook murder-suicide. The husband, enraged by betrayal, killed his wife and then turned the gun on himself. But the case didn't close there. During the autopsy, detectives discovered something else. A USB drive taped inside Michael's belt buckle. Inside were encrypted notes, voice memos, and journal entries that revealed another secret. Michael had suspected Aaron and Lena's affair for months. He had even been tracking Aaron's phone, logging Lena's visits, collecting surveillance. The pregnancy wasn't the breaking point, it was the confirmation. Michael had premeditated the confrontation but not the murder. What happened in the kitchen was more chaotic than planned. But the final piece of the puzzle came from Aaron himself. Under pressure from the medical board and guilt-ridden, Aaron confessed to the affair and fathering the child. But he also dropped a bombshell. Lena had planned to leave Michael after the baby was born. Not out of spite but out of fear. Fear of what he'd do if he found out the truth. In the end, no one went to trial. Michael and Lena were both dead. Their daughter, Hope, was placed in foster care. Dr. Aaron Blackwell lost his license and faced criminal charges for breach of confidentiality and sexual misconduct. But for those who knew the couple, the tragedy was a mirror, showing how love, when poisoned by secrets and pride, can lead to unspeakable darkness. The saddest part? All of it could have been avoided. If Michael had chosen honesty over pride, if Lena had faced truth with courage instead of silence, if Aaron had respected boundaries instead of crossing them. But now 2 lives are gone, and an innocent child bears the legacy of a truth too heavy for her to ever understand. And just when the case seemed over, the lab technician who handled the DNA test came forward, claiming something was off. The DNA? It may have been tampered with. Carla Myers wasn't just a technician, she was the lab supervisor. After the media storm surrounding the case died down, she was performing a standard audit of their past testing logs when something strange caught her eye. Michael Dawes' name appeared twice in the system, 2 separate tests under 2 different case numbers. The one used as evidence of the child's paternity, and another, deleted. But it hadn't been fully wiped. She recovered fragments from the backup server. A raw DNA comparison that told a different story. According to that test, Michael Dawes was the biological father of baby Hope. Detective Holloway, once Michael's closest colleague, couldn't believe it. She'd worked with him for over a decade, knew his character, his methods, and more importantly, his paranoia. Michael was obsessed with control, she murmured. If he ran 2 tests, he didn't trust one of them. Following Carla's lead, Holloway dug into Michael's encrypted notes again. This time, she noticed an overlooked detail. An appointment card from a small, unlicensed clinic in Nevada dated 5 months before Hope's birth. When Holloway made the trip, what she uncovered made her stomach twist. Michael had undergone a secret fertility treatment, experimental stem cell therapy, not FDA approved. The clinic's shady records showed something astounding. Michael had regained fertility 2 months before Lena got pregnant. He was the father. So why did he believe otherwise? That's when suspicion turned to Dr. Aaron Blackwell. Back in Colorado, Aaron was out on bail, awaiting trial for professional misconduct. Holloway visited him in his temporary apartment, the air between them tense. "You told Michael he was healed," she said. "You told him Lena's pregnancy was a miracle. Why?" Aaron leaned back, eyes hollow. "Because I knew he wouldn't believe it," He was unstable, obsessive. I told him what he wanted to hear. But you knew he was the father, didn't you? He didn't respond. Holloway continued, you switched the DNA test. His silence was answer enough. Aaron had everything to gain. He was in love with Lena, had been since they were teens. But she never saw him as anything more than a friend, until her marriage began to crumble. When he learned Michael was no longer infertile, he panicked. If Michael found out he was the father, Lena might stay. So Aaron did the unthinkable. He used his access to forge a DNA report that said otherwise. He convinced Michael the child was someone else's. And then he waited, knowing how volatile Michael could be. He lit the fuse. Back at the precinct, Holloway retrieved Michael's final journal entry. One not encrypted, almost like he wanted someone to find it. I don't know who to believe anymore. The child smiles at me like she knows I'm hers, but Aaron's voice echoes in my head. Sometimes miracles happen. Why now? Why after all these years? I can't trust my own blood. I'll find out myself. If I'm wrong, then I'll make it right. You did know. You just didn't believe it. The irony was searing. Michael thought he was killing a lying wife who betrayed him with his best friend. In reality, he murdered the mother of his child, over a lie he had believed too easily. Dr. Aaron Blackwell was rearrested, this time for criminal fraud and indirect manslaughter. He'd orchestrated the emotional destruction of a man and the death of a woman who once trusted him with her life. The court called it manipulation of catastrophic proportions. But none of it could undo what had been done. Hope, the innocent baby caught in the wake of betrayal and vengeance, now sat at the center of a new legal battle. Her foster parents petitioned for adoption, but a woman appeared at the hearing with documents in hand. A woman with dark eyes and a quiet strength. I'm Anna Dawes, she said. Michael's sister. I've been overseas. I only just found out. That child, she's my blood. As Anna carried baby Hope out of the courthouse, a reporter asked, do you think Michael would have wanted you to raise her? She paused, then said softly, Michael died not knowing the truth. But I will make sure his daughter grows up with it. That night, back at her hotel room, Anna opened a worn envelope Michael had mailed her weeks before his death. Inside was a USB drive labeled, "In case I'm wrong." She clicked it open and gasped. What she saw could destroy everything all over again. When Anna Dawes plugged the USB into her laptop, she expected some half-written apology or another angry journal entry from her brother Michael. Instead, what she found chilled her to the bone. A series of hidden video recordings, footage from inside Michael and Lena's home. They had been under surveillance for months. By Michael. Michael Dawes had always been meticulous, a true detective's detective. He believed in evidence over emotion. And when doubt crept into his marriage, he turned to what he knew best, surveillance. The USB contained over 130 hours of footage. Every room in the house had been wired. The kitchen, the nursery, even the bedroom. The videos started innocently, mundane morning routines, soft laughter over coffee, but soon descended into something else. Arguments, tears, Lena pleading for answers. And in one particularly damning clip, a phone call. The date was 7 weeks before the murder-suicide. Lena stood in the kitchen, phone pressed to her ear, whispering, "Aaron, you promised. If Michael finds out the baby is his, it's over. He'll never forgive me, and he'll destroy both of us. We stick to the plan. Understand?" The line went silent. Then Aaron's voice, calm but firm. "Then we make him believe it. No matter what it takes." Anna's hand trembled as she hit pause. Lena had known. Michael was the father. And Lena had chosen to hide it out of fear. Out of guilt. Or maybe out of love? The footage painted a picture far more complicated than the courtroom testimony had suggested. Lena hadn't just been a victim or a traitor. She had been trapped in a web of secrets and emotional blackmail. The affair with Aaron wasn't romantic. It was desperate, fragmented. And Aaron? He hadn't just manipulated Michael. He had manipulated Lena too. Anna now had evidence that could exonerate her brother posthumously and further incriminate Aaron. But there was a problem. If the footage was submitted, it would become public record, and Lena's reputation would be ruined forever. Hope would grow up knowing her mother lied, manipulated, betrayed. Would Anna preserve the truth? Or protect the child from it? At the end of the USB files, a final document appeared. A password-protected folder titled, Hope's Future. After several failed guesses, Anna typed the word Lena. It opened. Inside was a will, unsigned but dated the day before the deaths, and a pre-recorded message from Michael. If you're watching this, it means everything has gone wrong. And maybe, just maybe, I'm dead. I didn't know who to trust anymore. But I know what I feel. I loved Lena, even if she betrayed me. And I want my daughter to know. I didn't want this. I was lost, angry. But hope was my miracle. She still is. If she survives us, give her this. Let her decide when she's old enough. Let her know her father wasn't a monster. Just broken. Anna broke down sobbing. The brother she remembered was still in there, beneath the rage, the grief, the betrayal. He had planned to leave, to give Lena custody, to disappear. But fate and fury beat him to it. Armed with the footage, Anna met with Detective Holloway once more. I want to make a deal, she said. Aaron doesn't just deserve to lose his license. He deserves to rot in prison. Within 24 hours, the footage was submitted anonymously. The district attorney reopened the case. Aaron was arrested again, this time for conspiracy to falsify medical documents, paternity fraud, and psychological coercion. The trial made national headlines. On the stand, Aaron crumbled. I loved her, he cried. But she never loved me. I didn't mean for it to go this far. But it had. 2 people were dead. A child was orphaned. Injustice finally caught up with him. A year later, baby Hope turned 2. Anna legally adopted her and moved to a quiet town in Oregon. In her nursery, beside a stuffed bear and a photo of Lena smiling at the beach, sat a sealed envelope labeled, To Hope, from your father. It wouldn't be opened for many years. But one day it would be. And when it was, she would learn the truth of how love can both heal and destroy, of how lies fester in silence, and how even a man who did the unthinkable still believed in her. As Anna tucked Hope into bed one evening, her phone buzzed. A new email from an unknown sender. You don't know the whole story. Aaron wasn't the only one Lena was talking to. Check Michael's storage unit. Box number 17. A friend. Anna stared at the screen. Her hands went cold. Was there another player in this deadly game of secrets? The key turned with a rusty click. Anna Dawes stepped into Michael's old storage unit, dust dancing in the thin stream of light from her flashlight. It had been sealed for over a year, untouched since his death. But the mysterious email led her here, with one instruction. Box number 17. She found it near the back. Heavy. Padlocked. When she pried it open, what she found inside would unravel everything she thought she knew, again. Inside was a worn leather journal, a burner phone, several sealed envelopes, and a photograph that made Anna's knees buckle. It was a photo of Lena, in the arms of a man neither Michael nor Aaron. Anna opened the leather journal. It wasn't Michael's handwriting, but it wasn't Lena's either. It belonged to someone named Eric Vale. The first page read, They think I'm just the bartender. But Lena knew who I really was. And so did Michael in the end. Eric had apparently been writing for months. The entries were meticulous, emotional, and disturbing. They detailed a secret relationship between him and Lena, one that began long before the pregnancy, during a rocky phase in the Dawes marriage. She had met Eric at a retreat 6 years earlier. What started as therapy became something deeper. She'd confided in him, trusted him, and eventually loved him. She told me Michael couldn't give her what she needed emotionally, that he watched her, tracked her, that she felt like a prisoner in her own home. One entry, dated a month before her death, stood out. She told me she was pregnant, but she wouldn't say whose it was. Not even to me. She said she needed time. She was scared. Said Michael had found out something. I told her to leave. She said she couldn't, not yet. Anna powered on the burner phone. Dozens of voice messages played one after the other. Most were from Lena. Her voice was panicked, conflicted. Eric, I need to think. Michael's acting strange. He's following me again. I know what we had was real, but please don't come to the house. I'll call you when it's safe. Another days later. He asked me again whose baby it is. I couldn't tell him. Not when I'm not even sure. I just want all of this to stop. Then one final message, timestamped the night before she died. I'm going to tell him the truth, Eric. All of it. About the baby. About you. About Aaron. I can't live like this anymore. If something happens to me, please take care of Hope. But she never got the chance. When Anna delivered the contents to Detective Holloway, the veteran officer sat in stunned silence. This wasn't just a love triangle, she whispered. It was a war zone. Michael, Aaron, and Eric. 3 men, each believing they had a claim to Lena. To the baby. And Lena? She was just trying to breathe. Forensic analysis of the journal confirmed it was written by Eric Vale. But there was a problem. He had vanished. No trace of his last known address. His bar had been sold. His accounts were wiped. It was as if he had never existed. Unless he was running. Or hiding. Desperate for the truth, Anna ordered a third, independent DNA test using baby Hope's blood sample. This time comparing her to Eric Vale's DNA, taken from the journal via Touch DNA. Weeks later the results arrived. Probability of paternity, 0%. Eric Vale wasn't the father. Which meant Michael was the biological father of Hope after all. Lena had told the truth in the only way she could, by keeping it buried beneath half-truths, caught between the 3 men who all thought they owned her story. The town reeled as news broke. Michael was the father. Aaron was the fraud. Eric was the ghost. And Lena? She became more than just a victim or a wife in a scandal. She became the woman everyone had failed to understand. Anna finally visited Lena's grave. I hated you at first, she whispered. I thought you ruined my brother. But now, I see you were just trying to survive 3 men who couldn't let you go. She left a photograph of Hope on the grave. A child born of love, surrounded by secrets. That night, Anna returned home and checked her inbox. One new message. No subject. No sender. Read. You think it's over. But you haven't found the basement key. Michael knew more than he said. There's one more secret. One that explains why he really pulled the trigger. Check the crawl space. Behind the vent. You'll know when you find it. A friend. Asterisk. Her blood ran cold. Michael's house had been sealed since the crime scene was closed. Was there still one final truth buried beneath the floorboards? Behind the crawlspace wall was a narrow tunnel. At the end a door. Inside was a small room, sealed and windowless, lit only by a flickering bulb. On the far wall was a corkboard covered in photos, receipts, timelines, a full-blown investigation. Not by police. By Michael Dawes himself. At the center of the board, Lena. Around her, webbed in red string, were three names: Aaron Walters, trusted; betrayed; Eric Vale, the wild card, not the father; Lena Dawes, circled 3 times with one word scrawled beneath: trauma. Anna stepped closer, scanning the chaos. The more she read, the clearer it became. Michael hadn't just been heartbroken. He had been unraveling. Tucked in the bottom of a filing cabinet was a thick manila envelope labeled MD, Private Medical File. Inside were documents Anna had never seen: old hospital reports, psychological evaluations, therapy notes. But one detail stood out. Michael Dawes had been molested by a foster parent as a child. The trauma led to prolonged PTSD, dissociation, and, ultimately, psychogenic infertility, a condition that mimicked physical sterility caused by emotional and psychological trauma. It wasn't that Michael couldn't father a child. It was that his body wouldn't, until something changed. The pregnancy had been a miracle, not because he was healed, but because he had finally felt safe. Until that safety was shattered. In the room's corner sat a dusty tape recorder, already cued to play. Anna pressed play. Michael's voice filled the silence. Lena deserved better than me. I couldn't tell her the truth. I was broken in ways even I couldn't explain. I saw her drifting, and I blamed her. But I didn't see it was me who was vanishing. Aaron lied to her. Eric used her. But I imprisoned her. I loved her and I controlled her. That's not love. When I found out the baby was mine, I should have told her I forgave her, that I was sorry. But I didn't. I let my anger win. And now, there's no going back. The recording stopped. Anna fell to her knees. It wasn't murder out of betrayal. It was a collision of wounds, repressed truths, and 2 souls who didn't know how to love without bleeding. Hope Dawes turned 3 on a sunny Sunday morning. She played in the backyard, unaware of the headlines that once bore her name. Anna sat beside her, watching, guarding, healing. Michael and Lena's home had been demolished. In its place stood a simple garden. Plaque read, "In memory of truth, pain, and love misunderstood." Detective Holloway officially closed the case. Aaron Walters was disbarred and sentenced to 5 years for conspiracy and fraud. Eric Vale? Still missing. A ghost in the wind. His final role in Lena's life would forever remain ambiguous. A confidant, a lover, or maybe just another escape. But Anna had found peace. Not because everything was answered, but because she had finally understood. The tragedy wasn't just what happened in that bedroom. It was what had been happening long before, inside broken hearts, hidden traumas, and quiet silence. On Hope's 3rd birthday, Anna placed a sealed envelope in her memory box. Read, "To Hope, on the day you want to know. Your mother was brave. Your father was brilliant. Both were broken in ways you may never fully understand. But you were born from love. And you survived. That's your legacy, not their tragedy. You are not their past. You are your own story now. Make it one worth telling." And Anna. Sometimes justice isn't a sentence. It's a reckoning. Not in a courtroom, but in the quiet spaces where pain meets truth, and somehow healing begins.